Welcome to AI for Beginners Demystified, the podcast that makes artificial intelligence simple, practical, and profitable for small business owners. Each week, we turn complex AI concepts into real-world strategies you can use to grow your business. Hosted by the team at Internet Marketing Services. This is AI for Beginners Demystified, where the future of business starts today. Let's get started.
Welcome to AI for Beginners Demystified, the podcast that makes artificial intelligence simple, practical, and exciting. I'm Rick Samara.
And I'm Paul Stober. What if I told you that ranking number one on Google, it doesn't actually matter anymore, like at all?
I mean, it sounds like heresy for anyone in marketing, but it's a staggering reality check.
Right? Because imagine spending years, literally years, optimizing your website, climbing to the absolute top of the search results, only to realize your customers are never going to click your link.
Yeah, they aren't even going to scroll down far enough to see it.
Exactly. They just get the answer immediately. Welcome to the zero-click era.
It really is watching the fundamental collapse of the traditional web traffic funnel right in real time.
It's wild. And if your brand, your business, or honestly your livelihood relies on digital visibility, the ground has completely shifted beneath your feet.
Oh, absolutely. We're moving from a web of, interconnected links to a web of synthesized direct answers.
Yeah, and to help you navigate this, we are pulling from a massive stack of industry research today. Our core text is this really deep breakdown of the LLM Citation Optimization Framework.
Which is a mouthful, but we'll get into it.
We will, yeah. But we're also synthesizing that with white papers and technical updates from Anthropic, Google Search Central, Moz, SEMrush, and the digital strategy team at East Internet Marketing Services.
It's a heavy-hitting stack of sources, for sure. And looking across all their data, they point to the exact same conclusion.
Which is?
The intermediary step of the internet, the part where the user actually visits your website to get an answer. It's just being systematically eliminated.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to really understand how to survive this shift, we have to look at how the old game was played.
Right? The old SEO playbook.
Yeah. The core article uses a brilliant and honestly kind of hilarious metaphor for the last decade of search engine optimization. It says that for years, businesses have been stuffing web pages with keywords, quote, like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Oh, man, that is so accurate. I mean, we've all seen it.
Right? You'd read a local business blog, it would say something completely unnatural, like, if you need a cheap plumber Chicago, our cheap plumber Chicago team is the best cheap plumber Chicago has to offer.
Which is just painful to read.
So painful.
But the crazy thing is, from a purely mechanical standpoint, that brute force methodology worked.
Because the bots didn't care about the grammar?
Exactly. Legacy search algorithms were essentially just pattern matching engines. They didn't really understand the semantic meaning of the text. They were just, counting test strings.
So if a user typed a specific phrase, the crawler just scanned its index for the page with the highest density of that exact string.
Right. But the turkey stuffing era is over. Yeah. And it's entirely because of a phenomenon our sources call zero-click search growth.
Zero click. I mean, the underlying behavior of the user hasn't really changed, right? People are still asking questions.
Yes, exactly. But the delivery mechanism has evolved. Large language models, platforms like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Perplexity, they're now intercepting that query before the user ever even gets to a list of blue links.
That interception, that's the crux of the whole issue.
It really is. Yeah. When a user asks a question today, the AI processes the prompt, runs a retrieval across its massive data set, synthesizes the facts, and then just generates a conversational answer right there on the screen.
Bam. The user gets exactly what they need in like 3 seconds.
Right? The search ends 0 clicks.
Which, I mean, is a beautiful, frictionless experience if you're the person asking the question. But I want you, the listener, to think about this from the perspective of your own business model.
Because it's terrifying from that angle.
It is. If your top of funnel strategy relies on users clicking a link, reading your carefully crafted landing page, and entering your sales funnel, and suddenly those informational clicks drop to zero because an AI just summarized your page for them.
You're basically optimizing a storefront that no one actually walks into anymore.
Exactly. You're talking to a empty room.
It completely breaks the traditional acquisition model. You can no longer rely on users actively navigating through a search engine results page.
So the entire goal of digital visibility has to pivot.
It does. The goal is no longer about figuring out how to be found by the human user. The goal is figuring out how to be trusted by the AI model.
Man, that is the paradigm shift right there. You have to convince the machine to cite you.
Yep.
And that brings us to the core solution in our reading, the LLM Citation Optimization Framework. You know, the old way of doing SEO was essentially trying to buy the biggest, boldest ad in the yellow pages.
You're just shouting the loudest.
Right? But this new framework feels entirely different. If these AI models think in terms of entities and relationships, it reminds me of Detective Stringboard, you know, with the red yarn connecting the push pins.
Quick question for med spa owners. How many calls did you miss this week? Because every unanswered call could be a $500 to $3,000 client booking somewhere else. That's why med spas are turning to Voice AI Plus, an AI-powered receptionist and follow-up system that answers every call 24/7, books appointments, and follows up automatically. No voicemail, no missed opportunities, no extra staff. And it doesn't stop there. Voice AI Plus also includes your CRM, booking calendar, email automation, and review management, all in one system. Try it free for 30 days and see the calls, the bookings, and the ROI for yourself. Visit the link in the description to learn more today.
Oh, what's fascinating here is how perfectly that stringboard analogy maps to the underlying architecture of a knowledge graph. Oh, yeah. When an LLM evaluates a brand or a business, it isn't just looking at a single web page. It maps data points as nodes on a graph.
Okay, so you are the suspect, or rather the entity pinned to the center of the board. And the AI is the detective trying to verify that you're real, that you're authoritative, and that you aren't just some digital hallucination.
Precisely. The AI is looking for corroborating evidence. Every time your business is mentioned on a reputable platform, that's a piece of red string connecting back to your central node. So the data is incredibly consistent across the entire web. The connections are strong. The model assigns a high confidence score to your entity.
But what if it's not consistent? What if, I don't know, one directory has a different address than your website?
Then the AI gets confused. It creates multiple weak nodes instead of one strong one. And when an AI has a low confidence score about an entity, it simply will not cite it in a generated answer.
It just ignores you.
Yeah, it'll just choose a competitor with a cleaner data footprint.
Wow. So the machine's trust is mathematically tied to the clarity of your digital footprint.
That's it in a nutshell.
Well, knowing that is the foundation, our sources actually break this framework down into 3 specific structural pillars. Let's look at how we actually build that stringboard. It's DOOM. So pillar 1 is entity-based authority, which is exactly what you just described. You have to establish an unambiguous identity.
Right, and it requires extreme operational discipline. The sources emphasize maintaining a fully optimized Google Business profile, ensuring you have robust, publicly documented author bios with real credentials.
Like real people, not just admin accounts.
Exactly. And keeping your core business data rigorously identical across every digital touchpoint. You are feeding the knowledge graph the exact coordinates it needs to verify your existence.
NAP data, right? Name, address, phone number.
Yep, strictly consistent everywhere.
But establishing that entity node is only half the battle, because once the AI knows you exist, it has to actually extract your expertise to serve it to the user.
Right, it has to read your stuff.
And this leads us to the second pillar, which focuses on structured, question-based content. The framework dictates that your website content needs to be formatted in a conversational Q&A style. heavily utilizing clear HTML structures like H2 and H3 headers.
This is crucial.
But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting because I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're talking about the most sophisticated neural networks in human history, models with trillions of parameters that can, write Python scripts and compose sonnets. Are you telling me that a system that advanced genuinely cares if my blog post uses an H2 header versus an H3 header?
I know.
Like, it just feels like we are dragging cutting edge AI back to 1999 web design.
That is a brilliant point of friction, and it absolutely sounds counterintuitive. Like, why would a genius machine need training wheels?
Right.
But it comes down to latency and computational friction. Yes, the underlying language model is incredibly sophisticated, but the retrieval mechanism, the part of the system that actually crawls the live web to fetch facts, to feed into the model, that part is operating under severe constraints.
Because it has to return an answer to the user in like milliseconds?
Right? It doesn't have time to leisurely read your beautifully written 2,000-word essay to infer the hidden context.
That makes sense.
When the AI scans your page, it parses the document object model, the DOM tree. It looks for structural signals to rapidly categorize the data. If your page is just a wall of unstructured text, the system has to spend precious compute cycles running natural language processing over the whole page just to figure out what question you're answering.
Okay, so it really is just a matter of efficiency. If my target user's question is explicitly tagged as an H2 header and the direct factual answer is tagged immediately below it as body text, I have effectively isolated the exact data packet the machine is looking for.
You are serving it on a silver platter. The machine wants the path of least computational resistance.
That's a great phrase.
Yeah, and by using semantic HTML structure, you reduce the friction required to extract your data. Lower friction dramatically increases the probability that the AI will pull your snippet into its context window and cite you as the source.
Okay, that makes perfect sense now. We aren't structuring it because the AI isn't smart enough to read it. We are structuring it because the AI is prioritizing speed.
Exactly, speed and confidence.
All right, so we have pillar 1, establishing our entity on the string board. Pillar 2, structuring our content so the data is easy to extract. The third pillar of the framework is off-site citation building. And this is essentially the evolution of the old backlink strategy, right?
It is, yeah. It's the next generation of consensus building. In the legacy SEO era, if a high authority website linked to your page, Google's algorithm treated that link as a vote of confidence. Today, the LLMs are looking for unlinked mentions and co-occurrences.
Wait, so they don't even need a physical hyperlink to validate you anymore?
They don't. The machine relies on semantic proximity. It scans industry publications, local news outlets, Chamber of Commerce directories, trade blogs.
And is just looking for your name?
Pretty much. If it consistently sees your entity node mentioned in close proximity to a specific topic, say, your business name frequently appears in paragraphs discussing advanced podiatry, the mathematical weight of that relationship grows.
Wow. So it's third-party validation at a massive scale. Yeah. If the AI sees that everyone else in the digital ecosystem considers you an expert, it adopts that consensus.
Right. It trusts you because the network trusts you.
Which is why public relations and brand awareness are becoming highly technical SEO strategies. You have to get people talking about your brand in the right contextual neighborhoods across the web.
Exactly. You need the chatter to be relevant.
So we have the theory down. We understand the mechanics of the knowledge graph, computational friction, and consensus building. But, knowing how the engine works doesn't necessarily tell you how to drive the car.
Right. You need the roadmap.
I want to pivot to the practical application. The source material distills this entire philosophy into a 5-step action plan. If you are listening to this right now, these are the actual steps you can begin executing to adapt your digital footprint tomorrow.
And step 1 is purely foundational. You have to audit your existing digital footprint. Before you create a single piece of new content, you must clean up the string board.
Get rid of the bad push pins.
Yes, you need to run a diagnostic across every directory, social profile, and listing database to ensure your core business data is flawlessly consistent. Erase the fragmented nodes.
Okay, step 2 takes us to the actual content on your website. You need to pivot away from keyword stuff fluff and start creating structured expert level content. Like, let's look at a concrete example of this shift.
Yeah, the shoe example is great.
Under the old model, if you sold running shoes, you might write a sentence like, looking for the best running shoes, flat feet. Our flat feet running shoes are the best running shoes.
Which the AI just recognizes as low value spam. Under the new citation framework, that same page should lead with an H2 header, what are the best running shoes for flat feet, followed immediately by a concise authoritative paragraph.
Something like, based on podiatric biomechanics, the optimal shoe for flat feet features a firm medial post and a dual density midsole to prevent overpronation.
The difference is night and day. You are providing a definitive, factual answer that an LLM can comfortably quote.
Love it. And that leads into step 3, which is executing that offsite citation building we just discussed, securing mentions and authoritative publications to build the consensus around your entity.
Then step 4 requires a fundamental shift in how you anticipate user behavior. You have to optimize for conversational queries. The text makes a fantastic point here.
Oh, loved this quote.
Yeah. It says, stop optimizing for how a robot searched in 2009 and start writing for how humans speak in 2026.
It's so true. 10 years ago, we typed fragmented head terms into a search bar like Pizza Brooklyn. Today, we talk to our smartwatches and say, where can I get a slice of pepperoni near Williamsburg that is open past midnight and has outdoor seating?
Right. It's a full sentence.
Your website content needs to naturally incorporate that long tail semantic phrasing because that is the literal language the AI is parsing when it processes the user's prompt.
You're matching the semantic intent rather than just matching a string of characters, which brings us to the 5th and final step of the action plan. Monitor AI search results. You cannot operate in a vacuum here.
You have to actually test it.
You have to actively prompt platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity with the questions your customers are asking and observe the output.
You essentially have to reverse engineer your own industry, see who the AI is citing today, analyze their digital footprint, and figure out why the model's confidence score favored them over you.
Now, this raises an important question regarding resource allocation. When you look at the totality of this 5-step framework, auditing the entire web for entity consistency, structuring HTML DOM trees, executing digital PR, and constantly monitoring multiple AI models, I mean, the sheer scale of the effort is staggering.
Especially if you are a multi-location business. If you're managing physical storefronts in, say, Miami, Seattle, Boston, and Phoenix, the permutations of your local entity data just multiply exponentially.
Which is why the consensus among the sources, particularly highlighted by the team at EGNet Marketing Services, is that manual management is just no longer viable. Viable?
You can't just do it on a spreadsheet anymore.
No. Smart brands are shifting their budgets away from traditional ad buys and investing in API-level listing management and AI business insight partnerships. You need dedicated systems to constantly feed the machines the correct data at scale.
So, what does this all mean for the legacy infrastructure? This is a question I think anyone who has invested heavily in digital marketing over the last decade is asking right now.
It's the elephant in the room.
Right. With all of this intense focus on knowledge graphs, semantic HTML, and LLM citations, do we just burn down the old playbook? Is traditional technical SEO officially dead?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the answer is a definitive no. Traditional SEO is not dead. In fact, it's the prerequisite for everything we've discussed today. The new LLM Citation Optimization Framework is an additive layer. It is not a replacement.
Okay, so the AI still relies on the old crawler infrastructure.
Absolutely, yeah. Think about the retrieval mechanism we discussed earlier. Before an AI can parse your H2 tags and extract your answer, an indexing bot still has to crawl your website.
Oh, true.
Your site architecture still needs to be sound. Your pages still need to load quickly, and your server needs to respond efficiently. Technical SEO is what allows the machine to access your data in the first place.
There is a brilliant analogy in the reading that crystallizes this relationship perfectly. It says that traditional SEO is what gets your book into the library. It ensures that your pages are crawled, indexed, and placed on the shelf. But the LLM Citation Optimization Framework, that is what gets the librarian to actively recommend your book to every single person who walks through the door with a question.
It's the difference between simply existing in a database and being elevated as the definitive trusted solution.
You have to be in the library first, but simply sitting on the shelf does absolutely nothing for your bottom line in a zero-click world. You need the recommendation.
And securing that recommendation is going to be the single most critical competitive advantage for businesses over the next decade. The window to establish that entity authority is open right now, but as these models continuously train on new data, the concrete of the knowledge graph will start to set.
Oh, that's a scary thought.
Yeah. The brands that structure their data early will cement their nodes at the center of the string board.
Wow. So, as we wrap up this podcast, I want to leave you with the core takeaway from today's stack of research. The finish line has fundamentally moved. The days of keyword stuffing, of optimizing just to generate an empty click are over.
They're gone.
The future of digital visibility is entirely about authority, credibility, and removing the computational friction so that an AI specifically chooses to cite your expertise.
It is a profound evolution. But before we sign off, I want to pose one final provocative thought drawn directly from the further reading section of our sources.
Oh, yeah. The multimodal stuff.
Yes. We mentioned an article published by Internet Marketing Services focusing on multimodal content creation.
Multimodal meaning beyond just text.
Exactly. Everything we've analyzed today has been predicated on optimizing written text for an AI to read and parse. But the frontier of these models is multimodal. They are rapidly developing the ability to process audio and video natively.
Wait. You mean the AI won't just be scraping the text of a blog post? It will actively scan the audio file of a podcast or analyze the video frames of a YouTube tutorial to extract an answer.
That is the immediate future. If a user asks a highly specific mechanical question, the AI might scrub through a 20-minute video, find the exact 5 seconds where a technician explains the fix, and cite that specific timestamp in its generative response.
Incredible.
So the question I want you to mull over is this. How long until your business isn't just trying to get its written articles structured for AI, but actually needs to optimize the cadence, the audio clarity, and the visual structure of its videos so that an algorithm can extract your spoken words and quote them directly to a customer?
Wow. That completely redefines the concept of search optimization. We are moving from formatting HTML tags to like formatting human speech patterns for a machine's ear. That is equal parts fascinating and slightly terrifying.
The landscape will not stop shifting. The transition from text-based citation to multimodal extraction is the next great frontier of digital marketing.
Well, that is definitely something to keep us all innovating.
All right, let's bring this all together because today's episode really focused on a major shift happening right now with AI, and it's not about new tools. It's about how people are actually using them.
Exactly. The big theme was this. Most people are still interacting with AI in a very reactive way. They ask a question, get an answer, and move on.
Right? And that's fine for getting started. But it's also where most people get stuck.
Because the real value shows up when you move beyond that and start using AI in a proactive, system-driven way.
That was the first big idea. AI shouldn't just respond, it should anticipate, organize, and act.
Exactly. Instead of saying, write this email, the shift is to create a system that drafts my emails every week in my style.
That's a completely different level of leverage.
The second major point we covered is that AI becomes far more powerful when it has memory and continuity.
Right. When it remembers your tone, your preferences, your workflows, that's when it starts to feel less like a tool and more like an assistant.
Or even a team member.
Exactly. It's not just answering questions anymore, it's helping manage tasks, organize information, and reduce your mental load.
And that leads into the third big idea, the shift from tasks to systems.
This was huge. Most people are still using AI one task at a time.
But the real advantage comes when you connect those tasks into a repeatable workflow.
So instead of generating one piece of content, you build a system that creates, repurposes, and distributes content automatically.
That's when AI starts to scale your output instead of just assisting it.
Another important theme we touched on is how AI reduces cognitive overload.
Yeah, this was a big one. People aren't just busy, they're mentally overloaded.
And AI can step in to organize information, prioritize tasks, and prepare things before you even ask.
Which frees up your attention for higher value thinking, strategy, creativity, decision making.
All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways from today.
First, most people are using AI reactively, but the real value comes from using it proactively.
Second, AI becomes exponentially more powerful when it has memory and context, allowing it to act like a true assistant.
Third, the shift from tasks to systems is where scalability happens. One-off prompts won't get you there, workflows will.
And finally, AI's biggest immediate benefit is reducing cognitive load so you can focus on what actually moves your business forward.
All right, here's your actionable item for this week.
Take one task you repeat regularly, something like writing emails, creating content, or planning your week.
And instead of using AI to complete it once, ask, how can I turn this into a repeatable system?
Set up a simple process where AI helps you prepare, draft, or organize that task automatically.
Start small, just one system.
Because once you make that shift from reacting to building, you'll start to feel the real leverage AI can provide.
Thanks for listening to AI for Beginners Demystified, brought to you by Internet Marketing Services, helping small businesses harness the power of AI to work smarter and grow faster. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Be sure to check out the description below for valuable links and resources, including free tools, learning guides, and ways to start applying AI in your business today. And visit internetmarketingservices.com to explore even more AI tools, tips, and resources. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep demystifying AI.